Welcome, YouTubers, Rumble members, and Facebook members. This is News with a View, hosted by John A. Costa, me. I can be found at youtube.com at JOHNFATKAT. And that information will be right up here. Today is Sunday. Don't normally do a Sunday show, but circumstances forced me to make such a decision. Something's going on in the news, of course. It's all about bashing the Democrats, and they're just giving me so many opportunities to do so that it's unbelievable. Though, I will say a Republican senator, I think from Vermont, he resigned after it was shown that he was making racist comments on a social media site. Stupid is stupid. You're going to do something like that. What were you thinking? And that's a problem. If you're not using common sense for that, what other things are you not using common sense for? It makes me wonder about this person's character. And I can get it. Resign. There's no place for that. When you get into a political office, you have to leave your personal we all have a bias. Everyone has a bias. But you really have to leave those prejudices at the door because you represent everyone, all the citizens. And while you might have problems with certain citizens inside our society, you must be above the mud. And there's ways to be above the mud and still get your point across. But what was done was done. And you have a Virginia a politician running for the Attorney General there, Jones, who wanted to, thought it would be a good idea to shoot people and children in a post. And what do you think's going to happen with that? And no one's making him step away from his election. He's still running, and some Democrats are now saying, hey, you got to go, you're dragging us all down. But just the fact that they would make a statement like that and not be immediately shut down. Though, I will use a Democratic factual talking point. And we can remember, take the Wayback Machine and go back to private citizen Donald Trump saying he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue or Park Avenue and still be elected. Yeah, I thought that and some other statements he said would have done him in, and he would have been forced to pull out of the race, but he did not, and he won. So, but in saying that, I still think that this state senator did the right thing and stepped out of the race, stepped and resigned. It was foolish, but that's a fact, and that's a talking point, and you can go there. And I keep saying in my podcasts that I will look at both sides of an issue, from the left side and from the right side, and I will make a common sense determination, not on emotion, but on just good old plain common sense. And common sense tells me he has to go. And that's the way it works. And that's the way it should work. Common sense should always rule the day. We have a lot of news floating around, and I didn't get into the Israel and Gaza debacle, though I certainly understand Israel's points and why they did what they did and how they did it. War's a terrible thing. And now there is a brokered, very shaky peace deal. The hostages have been returned. Most of the dead that are still there have not been returned. And I mean, we have to look at the causes for that. Some of these people might have been buried under what is now 5 stories of rubble. Some of the people buried in spots, and people who knew about where they were and were leaders in Hamas are gone, dead. So there's going to have to be some realistic consciousness by the Israelis to say some of these people might not come back. And they're dead. Leveling the rest of the city is not what I would call a concrete option, but I can see where tempers, and again, we have leaders and they have leaders that should temper that. Unless during the negotiations they were, the Hamas had told Israel, we know where everybody is, and it will take us a bit to collect them, but we know where they all are, and they're all available. And the latest things that I saw on that were there was some gunfighting and attacks on positions held by the Israelis, and that's going to happen. There's going to be people on both sides that didn't want peace, don't want peace. It's a winner take all, and that has to shake itself out. I don't know, and I don't think any of us know what the deal is and how it's going to work and who's going to patrol it and who's going to enforce it. I don't know. The war in Ukraine is continuing, and I don't see an end in sight for. I don't see an end in sight. Common sense would dictate to Russia that you've gotten as much land and grab as you could possibly get without it really escalating up and reaching a critical point. And is that necessary at this point in time? The Ukraine has to realize too, at some point we have to say enough. Both of these situations are Biden caused. Biden was a very, he wanted to project a very tough image, and everyone knew that this guy was a joke. That Biden was, talking out his ass, doing as much money grabbing as he could along the way, just like he did in the Senate. They knew who they were dealing with. They were dealing with a crook, a scammer, a shyster. So no one took him seriously. And when he threatened Putin, Putin goes, yeah, really? Really, you might want to talk to your NATO nations before you declare war. Because that's where it's going to be fought. And he did what he was going to do. He said he was going to do. And Biden said, well, we're going to stand behind and we're going to do that. And it didn't. He was forced to. And then once the hand was played, that was it. The chips were off the table. Biden in Israel, dealing with them after the October 7th massacre, should have immediately told Hamas and put them under threat. And said, you don't return those people, we're going to blow up the desert over here. And then we're going to show you what we're going to do to you. And, but I don't even know if that would have been enough for Israel to halt its retribution. I use that word a lot. There was going to be payback, and I think the minute Hamas said we're not returning them, that was it. Boom, no more talking, and we'll destroy each block as we go along, and they did, Hamas overplayed their hand. Iran has been literally taken out of the picture. I mean, Iran still has a punch. They can give a punch, but wow, they'll be just annihilated. And you could see what's going on there. There's silently, the government is becoming more and more unstable, and their economy is, gone. And it's just a matter of time before the people in Iran go, enough of this, But in the meantime, they got the Hutus that they're running and selling, not selling, they're giving stuff to the Hutus because the Hutus are fighting the Saudis. Perfect. So, I think the Hutus who tried attacking ships and everything, and we just blasted them. Trump was like, take them all out. And you really stopped the flow, or a lot of the flow, of munitions from Iran into Yemen and into Russia. And you have China and North Korea supplying. China, saying, well, all right, trucks and some of this stuff. And, we'd like to test out our stuff, but with our people doing it. And, North Korea doesn't, they got some stuff, but it's just, toys. And the Ukrainians have been fighting and have honed the art of fighting, robot wars. So, it's all robots. So that's what's going on over there. I don't see an end game other than a very dangerous situation where both Russia and the United States go, this came way too close. We can't have that for this. And telling the Ukraine, hey, either you submit to this plan or we're out of here, and whatever happens, we'll take the loss. But we're not burning our house down for you. Not happening. The other little tidbit I saw in the news today, which really irked me to no end, was the New York City Police Department decided not to patrol in a 2-block area in Brownsville, Brooklyn. That they're going to let their neighborhoods police their neighborhoods. Except for stabbings and shootings. So the fact that they have to put that little exception tells me there's a lot of stabbings and shootings in Brownsville, like if anyone knew New York and Brooklyn. So what that tells me, that's an open place to go and sell drugs and sell guns, to deliver stolen goods. We're not gonna go in there and look for that stuff. You think that's a good idea, New York? And this was de Blasio's plan way back when. And now that there's a possibility of getting a communist mayor there, what do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen? Police are going to take their buyouts. Police are going to take their retirements. And the replacement police will only be woke and communists and socialists whose job it is to erode more of citizens' rights for protection. What a fool New York State is becoming, and New York City. I don't think anyone there deserves what's coming down the road for them. And maybe that's a wake-up call. But we've seen wake-up. We've seen Mayor Johnson in Chicago might be the most ignorant mayor of them all, other than maybe Dinkins in New York. Where he, says, hey, yeah, a cop killer, that's the people that we should be proud of. And teachers union there going, yes, we salute a cop killer. We're going to teach all the children about this cop killer and how great she was. And then you have no King's Day. We don't have a king. There is no such thing as a king here in the political sense. Though I will say this. Under the Constitution in the executive branch for the president, boy, that's as close to a king as you can get. But there are people that can rein in a president. So, but there is no King's Day here. Just like there's no Leprechaun Day, there's no Fairy Day, there's no Tooth Fairy Day, there's no Ghost Day. Where we have to warn people against this. It would have been much better press for the Democrats to make a Constitution Day and celebrate our Constitution than it would be to say no King's Day, which is again another fake situation that has a fake remedy. Just like Donald Trump, he's going to take away our democracy, democracy, democracy. And we're a republic that has democratic nuances, but not really. It doesn't work that way. So the idea of, Donald Trump taking away anything is ludicrous. It's a fake situation. Whereas where the Republicans had been saying for years, hey, our border's a problem, this has to be taken, and the Democrats, we don't have a border problem. You're lying. How about crimes being committed by people that shouldn't be here? No, not happening. That's a lie. Well, how about the money being allocated from other programs for giving these undocumented people Medicaid? Oh, no. Only documented people that are here under the parolee program or the TPS, temporary protection status, oh, well, they have to get it. There's nothing in our current and functional immigration regulations that specify parolee. Now, there is a temporary protection status clause that does give people certain rights, and I agree with that. But if those aren't being, I left because my neighbors didn't like me. I left because everyone's after me. They got to prove it. It's a government. It was for government control over its people that gave people the right to leave Cuba. And we're sending Cubans back, and yet Cuba would have been one that I would say, all right, I'm going to give them temporary protection status, because if you send them back there, there's a good shot that they're going to be in labor camps and hurt. And these are communists that are our enemy. I would say Christians fleeing the Middle East, where Muslims are imposing really harsh and brutal regulations on these people, you might want to give them protected status and let them come here. But giving, poor Muslims who just want to flee in here and, make money, no, you can come in, you got to come in the normal way. You have to apply for immigration and be vetted, and some were and some were not. We have about 22 to 30 million unvetted people that was let in between Obama and Biden. And when Trump's first term, when he tried to stop all this, he was called a racist. A racist. And then we had COVID, and they still were letting people across the border. No vaccines, but you couldn't get on a subway unless you had a vaccine shot. You couldn't get in an airplane. You couldn't go to work in a lot of states unless you got the vaccine. But these people were allowed to come over with nothing. And these are the facts. And plus lying about President Biden's health and his mental health status was the downfall of the Democrats in 2024. They couldn't hide it any longer. And just the pure lies. And you knew the jig was up when Pelosi stepped away. And, they put Jeffries in there, which no one wanted to, from the Democrats, wanted to be there holding the bag. Jeffries, he was stuck holding the bag. And, he tried. I don't think he had much of a chance of doing it. Honestly, don't. Never did think that he stood a chance of doing anything good while he was in that position. He got dealt a bad hand, and I'm just adjusting my headphones. He got dealt a bad hand, and he's playing a bad hand. Schumer would have loved to make a deal with Trump. But can't. And we go back to the crime. New York will be back to being a cesspool again. They'll wish Dinkins was back. They'll wish Dinkins was back in power. The governor of New York, she's going to be gone. She's going to be gone. And what's going to happen is that they're going to find where this guy has lied on applications and lied on things, and they'll get him. But to even have to go to that extreme, that this guy is going to be the mayor of our capitalistic center of the universe, and he's a communist. And businesses, I predict the stock exchange is out of New York within the next 3 years, 4 years. That they won't be able to do business in the United States because they're going to be taxed on every transaction and taxed to death on everything. And they'll move to Dubai. And that will be the end. And then, you might have, the Mercantile and some of these other ones go with them and move away. And New York will be Cleveland, an empty city. An empty city. The shenanigans going on is beyond belief. The Democrats, you thought from 2021 to 2024 was bad, where, they just threw all our values away, threw everything away. And the Democrats are still doing that today. That's still their plan. They didn't win in 2024 with that, but that is still their plan. This is why they're destined to fail. And they're getting more and more common sense, moderate Democrats to go, can't do it. I just can't stand with you guys. You're going to have labor unions, big labor unions go, can't stand with you guys. Can't do it. It is a bad situation for the Democrats, and they're just digging themselves deeper and deeper and deeper into the grave. They're clowns. They're clowns. They're offering nothing but rhetoric. Trump, Trump, oh, Trump, Trump, Epstein, Epstein. You know, you got Letitia James. We're in this fight together. You know, I'm gonna fight this with you. We're in here together. No, Letitia James, you're on your own, sweetheart. You lied on applications. You were deceitful in your applications for loans. You were deceitful to your own party. You were deceitful to your own state. And now you're going, we're in this together. No, you're not in this together. You're not in this together. And people should start a class action lawsuit against New York State if they give any money to help in her legal battle. People want to donate money? Have at it. Go donate money to her. But not a dime should be coming from the taxpayers. Not a dime. So, I think the people are going to say enough with her. You did what you did. You're on your own. And I said yesterday and in other podcasts, that I think Adam Schiff has a much better chance of walking away from his case. And, he's been indicted. And like I said, you can indict anyone. But I think in Adam Schiff's case, he could make his point and prove his point that what he did was not a deception. Whereas, a lot of these people, it was a deception. They were purposely deceiving. And then lying to federal investigators. And that's going to be the one. See, Schiff's not going to lie. He goes, yeah, I filled that out. That's my primary residence. When I'm in, when I'm in town, I'm not renting it out. So I'm the sole occupant, for lack of a better word. No one else is there. So when I'm in town, and his place of business is California and the East Coast here in Washington. So yeah, I could see him buying a home and listing it as, I'm owner occupied. I'm the only one that's going to be there, or my family's going to be the only ones that be there. So I could get that with Schiff. I think it was a mistake, like I said, a mistake by the government, other than to go look at it and make him explain, and they could go, all right. You satisfied us, and we're done. But just put them on notice that we're looking at you, and the No King's Day, another, like I was saying, another stupid. It's not even bright. I mean, unless you were talking about, Rodney King or some other kings, what are you talking about? We don't have any kings. So it's a stupid place to go, and it's not a good look for the Democrats. And, all it did was bother people and annoy people. They left messes in the street. Who paid for all those printed up signs? Who handed them out? How were they delivered? What groups were behind it? What busing companies did they use, and how was that paid? And if the money came from 501c's, was the money allocated that way? Did their board of directors approve it? I mean, I think there's a lot that we can do within our laws to start getting people to admit where money's coming from. Groups that we know are being paid to show up at protests. Right? Ridiculous that we even go there like that. Ridiculous. Well, this was a nice little talk today. There's hundreds of other things in the news. Too, you had Newsom, who closed down Interstate 5 over worry of live fire testing flying over Interstate 5. And as such, he closed the road down. And under better safe than sorry, and I could kind of see that, but what they really could have done is asked for what time is the live firing taking place. And we stopped the road for 12 minutes. You're done. Boom, let everyone go through. Open the traffic back up. You're going to be shooting again in 25 minutes. We're going to stop traffic. Boom, boom. And do it. You could have done that instead of just shutting the whole thing down for, 8 or 9 hours. That way, if you did have a short round come down somewhere, then you could then close the highway down. But there'd still be no one there if a round hit the road. All right, bad road, but no one got injured. What he did was extreme, and it was done on purpose, and it was done to annoy people. But that annoyance is going to come back at him. That was like Chris Christie, closing down the GW Bridge, taking 4 lanes and taking it down to 1. There's going to be answers. People are going to get mad, so lots of stuff in the news. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be an early show because tomorrow's Monday. I will be going to Socrates Station in Socrates, South Carolina. It's a great little bar, great little restaurant, fun people, great times, great prices. It's just overall on the top of my list of places to go. And when I go there, and if I have a drink, I take Uber back. And like I said, I make my poor daughter-in-law drive me the next day to get my car. Give to a charity if you can give it to a charity. If you can't, or you're uncomfortable with that, give to a food bank. Take some food, go buy 1, get 1 free. Sometimes you buy 2, get 3 free. Do that. If you're going to use it, and then take those extra ones and donate them. And you might say, what's the difference? 4 cans or 5 cans I'm going to bring down there, or 10 cans, is that really going to make a difference? Well, if you're helping people that don't have any cans, yeah, 3 or 4 cans of food makes a difference. And you'd be surprised. If a lot of people start doing that, they can feed people, and you do that without any, built-in bias of, why did they find themselves that they have no food, and why is this, but hungry is hungry. Children have no say in that. The parents could be off the walls, but the children. And they got EBT and stuff. It's not as much and going as one would think it is. And sometimes it's just nice to help people and go, I did something. Okay. Say a prayer. Prayer does work, regardless what the Democrats tell you. And with that, I'm going to see you later. I'll get this show up. It's 12:42 right now. I probably will get this all edited because it's it's 40 minutes. And I'm just going to throw some little of my little fonts and stuff into the edited show that goes on my video playlist. My live show goes out live. You don't see anything but me. And I could also be found on rumble.com at JOHNFATKAT and Facebook at John A. Space Costa, COSTA. And I put a link in back to YouTube here, and I don't go live to Facebook. I have a lot of problems going live to Facebook. But whatever. I might give that a try later and just do a quick little live Facebook show. All right, everyone. Take care. Be well as I prepare to fade to